as Pope Francis said, look like they went around sucking on a lemon, then we're like that too. And as a result, we think that when people are joyful and happy, they're somehow not religious or they're not serious. You know, when I did this book on joy and humor and laughter, I was stunned to find, you know, the number of books on humor and laughter in the Christian tradition are, you know, maybe like, fill like half a shelf, because it's not seen as important. Now, you go to the Christian section of your library and look up suffering, well, you know, there you go. You know, you can read from now until kingdom come.
Yeah, I know, but also here's where you get, there's a difference between, I think there's just a lot of religious jokes, I think, don't tend to be very funny. But that's not the same as humor.
Really?
Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. I know some pretty great religious jokes.
Okay, well, another time. Let's see if we have time at the end of this interview. You can tell.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
I mean, you know, to me, this does touch on something I want to ask you about. Something you've said, that the way you think about friendships can help you think about and deepen your relationship with God.
Absolutely. And it's usually the most clarifying way for people to start to think about a relationship with God. And the idea is that, you know, friendship is an analog with a relationship with God. So, for example, what makes a good friendship? What is required? Well, time, for example. You know, you would scarcely say, I'm good friends with this person and never spend any time one-on-one with him or her. Well, what about your relationship with God? You spend one-on-one time with God? You know, is there time? How about honesty? You know, what happens if you're not honest in a friendship? Well, it starts to grow cold or formal or, you know, very distant. Same with God. If we're not honest in prayer about what we feel, about our struggles, our anger, our sorrows, our relationship gets very cold and distant. How about listening? You know, if you had a friend that all you did was talk at, you know, that would be a very deep friendship. Can you listen to God's voice in your daily life and in your prayer? So, this is an insight from Father William Barry, who's a Jesuit in New England, and it's been very helpful for me. And it really helps people because it really gets their spiritual life kind of back on track. You know, can you relate to God in a similar way that you relate to a friend? You know, time, honesty, openness, silence. Are you comfortable with silence? Does your friend have to call you every day and say, I like you?
Right. Or also companionable silence, right? Just being able to, the people you're closest to, you don't have to be talking all the time or have them talking to you.
Yeah, you know, I always use the example of if you're quiet with God in prayer, you know, this is sort of I would say the opposite of Ignatian contemplation, centering prayer, which is centering prayer is just being in the presence of God, simply put. Can you imagine that like taking a long walk on a beach with a friend and saying nothing? You know, I mean, is that any less of a relationship or relating than if you're talking over a dinner? No, it's just a different way of relating. There's no right way to pray or wrong way to pray. That's another great insight of Ignatian spirituality. Whatever helps you feel closest to God is great.
You know, you write in a very winsome way about being monastic and being a modern person, and also not in a tell-all way, but I think you are revealing and you're writing to a broad audience. So you know, I was taken by a place in one of your writing where you say that when you were becoming a Jesuit, you said you're not monastic, right? Is that right? Am I getting that?
Well, I'm not a monk.
You're not a monk, but it is a monastic order, right?
Well, no, not really. So there are monastic orders, which would be, you know, cloistered and living in monasteries.
Yeah.
But we're religious order is kind of the broader term.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, I've been getting
That's
that
okay.
wrong. But it is.
That's okay.
You know,
I didn't know that before I entered the Jesuits.
Yeah. Well, I guess I was conflating religious orders and monastic orders.
That's okay.
But anyway, so that when you were becoming a Jesuit, someone said to me, one of your teachers or mentors said, you know, you will fall in love, right? You're taking this vow of celibacy, but you will fall in love, and you said you did fall in love. And I think that's important for people to hear, to humanize this way of life that you've chosen and that many other people of great integrity have chosen across time.
Yeah, I also think it's important for people to hear. I think, you know, when you enter the religious order, you don't check your sexuality at the door. You fall in love. And my novice director said, and if people don't fall in love with you, something's wrong. You know, because you're living a loving life and we're human beings. And actually, I was horrified. I thought, oh my gosh, you know, what if I fall in love? And not that love is a bad thing, but to be terrible. And And I did. I fell in love in a very deep way. And I had to make a decision. My spiritual director at the time, which was, really helpful and human and real, and I've, had this experience with people coming to me, said to me, okay, you fell in love, and it's beautiful, and someone fell in love with you, and that's beautiful too, and now you have to make a choice. Do you continue with this way of life, right? Which is about chastity and loving people freely and deeply, but not exclusively. That's how we say it, not, just one person. Or do you choose to leave, and continue this relationship with this person? So I chose to stay, after looking back on my life and seeing how happy I was as someone who was living chastity. So, I thought it was really important to put that in the book because it's true, first of all. It was an experience of discernment, but it's also, as you say, it kind of dispels these notions that people don't fall in love. I mean, it happens to married people.
Right.
People that are then in committed relationships, and it's kind of the same thing. It's okay, now what do you do? Now you're given a choice. What do you do? And it was a gift to me in the end. I mean, it was very turbulent, obviously, but it was a gift to me because it was beautiful to fall in love and have someone fall in love with you. But it was also a gift of discernment, and it also helps me understand people.
Yeah.
As does, by the way, on a more practical level, just having worked in a much more kind of simple level. I mean, just being out in the world and earning a paycheck. So I tend to think that it's better for priests and religious people and religious orders to have those experiences before they enter, so that when someone says, my boss is a jerk, you don't just say, oh, well, you must pray for him. Offer it up.
Right. Right.
You can, what that means.
Yeah.
Or, I'm struggling with my paycheck, or I'm worried about losing my job, or I've fallen in love, or I've fallen out of love, or, I'm having an affair. It's important to, Jesus became human, right? Jesus participates in humanity, and so we're called to participate in humanity. And I always say to people, there's a reason Jesus didn't come down as a book. He came down as a person. He incarnates himself. And so we're called to kind of identify and participate in people's lives like that.
I'm Krista Tippett, and this is On Being. Today with Jesuit writer and spiritual teacher, Father James Martin.